Okay, lads, let's focus on up and down the Premier League table. Let's give our picks and preview the games coming up in match week 11. And starting at the top of the table, Nick Mendola, we talked on the show this week about Newcastle hosting Arsenal, and that's a big game for both teams to kind of see which direction their season's gonna take. What is your prediction for this game? Because St. James's Park under the lights, this is going to be a special one.
Yeah, I think normally I would tell you, given the injuries to Newcastle, that and Arsenal's history against the Magpies, I would tell you that Arsenal's got a really good shot to come out here with a win and maybe even a comfortable one. But I'm going to go for a draw, and it's because St. James's Park is the closest thing we've seen in a while to a new sort of home field advantage, a place that starts to feel just like, oh, we're playing Newcastle. Where is it? Oh, it's at our place. Okay. Oh, it's there. So I just think the venue's been an equalizer. The crowd's been fantastic, and the team, Eddie Howe hasn't playing there. So I'm going 1-1. I think this should be fun.
Yeah, it should be. And Arsenal, obviously, coming off a disappointing result in midweek against West Ham United in the League Cup. So let's see what kind of reaction they have and how they rotate the lineup with Champions League and all sorts going on, a few injuries. So it's going to be a fun one, again, like we said, to see where both teams are at and where they're going to get to later on this season. Andy, Man City against Bournemouth. I think we know kind of where both these teams are going to be at later in the season, at opposite ends of the table. What are you looking for in this one?
Probably a couple of goals from Erling Haaland. He's got 4 in his last 2 games across all competitions. He's only got 11 in the Premier League so far after 10 games, guys. He is actually on pace to match exactly what he did last season. And for some reason, it feels like it's been a slow start for him and for the team. And I think we probably expected that with the team coming into the season, having won the Champions League and won the treble last year. Like, how do you push on from that? I guess you try to do it again. And so they always start a little slow under Pep as well. But by the time they get to a certain point in the season, they just start to ramp it up. Potentially that's happening right now. They got a 2-1 win over Brighton a couple weeks ago, which was big because they had to bounce back from the loss to Arsenal. They're cruising in the Champions League. They did well. They did great last time out against Manchester United in the derby. And so they're just kind of ticking off boxes middle way through the season now, the way that they do under Pep. Every game just kind of comes along, check, 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 and they move on. So I'll go 4-0 to City in this one, and probably Haaland with a couple.
Well, our producer, Efe, will be delighted with that because he does have Haaland in his PL fantasy team. So he's definitely hoping for a big goal fest from the goal machine himself, Erling Haaland. Nick, I'm pretty sure Liverpool will be hoping for that away at Luton this weekend, right? I mean, Luton are a scrappy team, and I really like them and the way that they focus on what they're good at. But I don't see an upset in this one, given how well Liverpool have been playing in recent weeks.
Yeah, so many times over the past few years with relegation, newly promoted or relegation candidates, we look at them and we say, all right, well, maybe they can get a couple of surprise results along the way. This year feels very much about the 6-pointers. I just think we're seeing that sort of golf in class that comes with being a Champions League club and investing in your depth. Klopp can throw out 11 guys in the League Cup and be fine. I mean, in guys on the bench, you've never heard their names. And I just don't think, whether it be Luton or Burnley or Sheffield United, you're not seeing a team that is going to pick up their points from these games. And Mohamed Salah is still a very special player. This is going to be, it would take a heck of a game from Luton to get anything but a blowout loss.
Yeah. Probably 3 or 4-0 Liverpool, right? Something like that.
They might score. They might score. Yeah. Carlton Morris, man, you know I love him.
You do. 4-1, and then he's still maybe on track for the Golden Boot, but he'll have to go some to get Haaland so far this season. Tottenham against Chelsea, Andy. We talked about it on the show this week. Massive London derby. Poch going back to Spurs. Storylines galore. Ange Ball's unbeaten. Tottenham going to take care of business, my friend?
Depends on how you define take care of business. I think they both get something out of this one. I think it's a close one. I think it's a real fight. I think in this one, it typically is when Spurs and Chelsea get together. Obviously, there's the rivalry and everything, and then you throw the Pochettino factor on top of it. It's his first time back in North London since it's setting up to be a real kind of spectacle, I think. And so that sets up an interesting challenge, I think, for both of these teams, both very early in the new manager's project. And how are they going to respond to so much attention and eyes on them at this point of the season? Because, I mean, we've talked about Spurs being top of the table. I don't expect them to stay there for the whole of the entire season. But this feels like the first occasion where it's really going to be looked at as, okay, Spurs, leaders of the Premier League, facing another one of the big clubs. Oh, yeah, they've got their former manager as well. Like, it's just, I think this is where the focus really comes into play. And it might be just a little bit too much, I think, for Spurs at this point. And so I'll say it's a draw. I'll go with a 1-1 because these teams are, statistically speaking, almost identical to one another. They're doing it in different ways of playing, but they're kind of ending up in the same exact place, aside from one of them puts the ball in the back of the net and the other one just cannot.
Yeah, no, I like that prediction. I think it's going to be tight. And I'm really intrigued to see what kind of reaction Pochettino gets. And I'll be there on site for PST in North London. Cannot wait for that one on Monday. Focusing on the European kind of teams, mid-table area. I actually think, I said this a few weeks ago and you guys laughed at me, but I actually think Aston Villa could be in the outside of the title race this season. If they win at Forest this weekend, which I think they will, and other results go their way, they could only be 2 points off top of the table. That's all I'm going to say. Like, we are a decent chunk into the season now, and I think we all are big Unai Emery fans. We all think he's getting the most out of the players, and I think you said it, Andy, they are Aston Villa players. They are players that are very happy being there and almost, feel like they can reach their potential and maybe over it as a unit and as a team. And that's a very strong thing to have as a team and as a manager when you know everyone is happy to be there and pulling in the right direction. It's just a great vibe around Aston Villa right now. And I don't get that at Nottingham Forest. I think they're okay. I think they'll probably just stay up this season. But I do worry about what are they as a team. Are they a counter-attacking team? Do they keep the ball? I don't think Nottingham Forest actually know what they are. And Steve Cooper is a fine coach. He did a great job to keep them in the Premier League last season. But how many times have we seen it over the years? That next step to cementing yourself as a Premier League team is very, very hard to do. And they've made a lot of new signings once again this summer. Some of those have worked out. Some haven't so far. Some are still settling in. But I'm going to go for a big 3-1 win to Aston Villa away at Nottingham Forest because I just think Villa are very, very good right now. Nick Mendola, talking about teams that are very good right now. We weren't saying this a few weeks ago, but Everton host Brighton, and Everton have actually picked up some really good wins and good form in recent weeks under your old mate Sean Dyche. So how are they going to get on this weekend?
Yeah, me and Sean, man, we go back. I'll tell you what, Everton has been one of those teams that just hadn't finished their chances. They are an astounding. Are you ready for this? 10 games into the season, do the math, divide it by the game. They are 8.39 expected goals below. 8.39. That is almost a goal a game. They've scored 10 times. So they're going to finish their chances. You know what's been surprising? Crazy to think about. Wake Forest, New York City FC. I know he's a Manchester United Academy guy, but Jack Harrison, just for 2 teams now, just gets players in position to score. And since he's been back, we've seen a bit better Everton. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of reason to hope for back to Everton being just a comfortable mid-table team for a year.
Yeah, I could see them getting a draw at home against Brighton. Maybe Calvert-Lewin as well. I think him coming back and scoring and just giving him a focal point. It's been a huge bonus for Sean Dyche. So, yeah, I can see a draw in that one at Goodison. Fulham against Man United. That is interesting. I wouldn't say upset alert would really be a term you can use if Fulham pulled off this result at Craven Cottage. I mean, the only issue is scoring goals for them, right, Andy? So, we talked about Man United a lot on the show this week. Their struggles, we all know pressure is on Erik ten Hag. I kind of think away at Fulham is not the game you really want because they are going to make it horrible. They're going to sit deep, defend, not going to give you many chances. I don't know. I could kind of see a draw in this game.
Yeah, I want to say yes, but Fulham play so painfully slow. And I think it's been made pretty clear by a lot of teams. You speed United up when you have the ball, and they will make all the mistakes in the world that you need them to. And I just don't think Fulham are set up or have the mindset to play in a way that takes advantage of this. And so for the time being, I think Erik ten Hag gets a little bit of breathing room and maybe a 2-0 victory. They'll even keep a clean sheet away from home.
All right, fair enough. Brentford against West Ham is an intriguing game, another London derby. I don't know. Whenever West Ham need a result, they pull one out of the bag. They did it in midweek for David Moyes against Arsenal in the League Cup. I don't think any of us saw that one coming with the amount of changes he made. But I said a lot of draws this week, but I think I'm going to go for another one here. That seems like kind of a set-piece game where a couple of set-piece situations. But Nick, you're shaking your head. Do you think Brentford are going to run away with it?
I do. I think if you fast forward to the year 2027 and you gave David Moyes an invested FIFA Pro Best 11, he's still counterattacking like he's the underdog. And I think this has Brian Mbeumo game written all over it. I don't know why. I think you're right. Your logic is sound, but the Bees also seem to be going up in the league while West Ham has been going down. This could be a perfect storm. This could be a perfect storm for one of those games where the Moyes detractors are pointing to this game and his fans are pointing to midweek.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting situation right now with Europe as well, and obviously getting through in the League Cup. But you're right, they haven't been playing well, but getting results somehow. So I don't know.
Fulham. They're the same team,
basically. And Brentford are just kind of unpredictable. But we saw against Chelsea last time out for them, they can pull it out of the bag whenever they want to. And defensively for them, if they can stay solid, they do have Visa and Mbeumo and so many other good players who come up clutch for them. And the relegation situation, lads, to wrap things up, Sheffield United host Wolves. Poor Sheffield United, that's all I'm going to say. A lot of injuries. Really, really tough for them this season, given their transfer policy over the summer. And always seemed like it's going to be a tall order of them to stay in the Premier League. Wolves are really good under Gary O'Neill, who's getting a lot of praise here in the UK and around the world for his tactical switches and focus and how he's been able to come into a difficult situation at Wolves and do really, really well early in the season. And I think, I'm going to
losing Pedro Neto is huge.
Yeah, that's big. I was going to say that's the only do I go 3 or 4-1 or 2-1? Probably 2-1 with not Pedro Neto being out for a little bit, but Wolves will get the job done. And Burnley against Crystal Palace. That is probably the most 0-0, 1-1 game I think I've ever seen in my life. Burnley need a win. They're really struggling. Palace are struggling without the creativity of Eze and Elise. Andy, try and help me out there. Do you see a winner in that game at all?
No. I think you've got it right, because what Burnley are going to try to do, they're going to try and possess and pass around Palace. And what do Palace do better than any team in the Premier League is they sit back in two very, very, very difficult banks of 4 and even 5 in midfield sometimes, and sometimes they drop 5 into the back line and just simply do not give you space. They do not give you time. They don't make mistakes defensively, and that is a huge credit to Roy Hodgson and the job that he's done in a very interesting situation coming in there. But they offer very, very little going forward, and so I don't think they're going to pose too much of a threat to Burnley, and I don't think Burnley have the quality to really break down Palace. So I could absolutely see 0-0 in this one.
Well, there we go. Well, gents, that does it for Up and Down the Table, our picks and preview of Matchweek 11. Nick and Andy, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Enjoy the Premier League action. And remember, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest how to watch information, video highlights, reaction, analysis, and much more on all these games. It's a massive weekend in the Premier League. Can't wait for it. Thanks, lads, for joining me. Speak to you all soon.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.